The zoning committee meeting to order, please. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Kennedy. Alderwoman Davis.
Present.
Alderman French. Alderman Arnowitz.
Present.
Alderman Carter. Alderwoman Tyus.
Present.
Chairman Rhodey. President Reed. Here. 4 present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the president for coming and assisting us with the opportunity to move forward this morning. We have a number of bills before us, and we'd like to start with Alderwoman Ingrassia with Board Bill 235, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. Board Bill 235 removes redundant, time-consuming, and extra costs associated for landlords wanting to participate in the Section 8 program in the city of St. Louis. Per current ordinance, we already have most of our properties needing to secure a housing conservation district inspection. Properties receiving a housing choice voucher at this time are subject to an additional occupancy permit, which is discriminatory in practice. And this change is supported by myself, the president of the board, and also was a recommendation in the St. Louis City analysis of impediments to fair housing. And I do have a few folks here who would like to testify. I can take questions from you now or allow them to speak.
I think what we'll do is we will listen to our those who have signed up to speak, and then we'll question you before you close. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. The first person I have here is Molly Metzger. Hi, Molly. Will you please tell us where you live and how you're affiliated with this,
Sure.
please?
My name is Molly Metzger. I'm an assistant professor at the George Warren Brown School of Social Work at Washington University and a resident of the 8th Ward. And I'm here to speak in support of Bills 235 and 260. Both of them, I think, would increase housing choice for Section 8 renters in the city of St. Louis. The idea of Section 8 is to give more housing choice to low-income renters. So unlike other models for affordable housing where we build a unit in a certain place, excuse me, the idea is that Section 8 renters can utilize the private rental market and shop around for a home that meets the needs of their family. But my research has shown that actually Section 8 renters are more likely to be living in segregated neighborhoods, higher poverty neighborhoods, and higher concentrations of minority population than even compared to other extremely low-income renters. And so part of this is because of the way that the program is structured on the federal level. So the program will only cover rents up to a certain level, up to a certain fair market rent ceiling. And there are extra inspections that landlords have to go through, so it makes it a burden to deal with this program. Those are things that we can't do anything about at the local level. Some places have done experiments with Section 8 vouchers, investing thousands and thousands of dollars to make vouchers worth more to help people access housing in more middle-class neighborhoods. We're not proposing that today either. What we're proposing is some sort of, I think, low-hanging fruit efforts that would make it easier for landlords to accept Section 8 vouchers, removing some of these extra inspections that are really discriminatory and making it harder for landlords to participate, even if they would like to participate. And so I think I'd just like to say that I support both of these bills. I wrote a policy brief describing how Section 8 is being used in St. Louis City and County, and I'd like to share it with you.
Yes, please. Thank you.
So this provides just some of the descriptive statistics on who Section 8 renters are. Many of them, the majority of them, are families with children. There are also many people with disabilities who utilize the program. And as you can see from the maps, they're really concentrated in high poverty neighborhoods. So even though the poverty rate for the city of St. Louis is 27%, the average Section 8 renter lives in a neighborhood with 36% poverty. So this would be a way not of steering people into one neighborhood or another, but rather to remove some of the obstacles to landlords throughout the city who might want to participate.
Very good. Are there any questions? I'll start with the president, please. No questions? Okay.
I just want to make a statement. I want to make a statement.
Okay.
I actually own apartment buildings and do Section 8.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate this because I've seen this in action. I've been doing rehab for 30-something years. And so whenever we go to have a Section 8, which I can't do in the city now that I'm back on the board, so I still do the county somewhat, and we try to keep our buildings 50-50. But you always got to have that additional inspection. And it's really for naught, okay? Because you already have to have an inspection if you're in the Housing Conservation District. So now you got to go have another one. And a lot of times it confuses people if they're first getting into Section 8 or doing something like that because they think they've gotten all the inspections and then they find out they have not. I think this is a wonderful, I don't know, I guess since it's a kind of a little conflict for me, so I guess I can't vote for it, but I can say that this is a step in the right direction. This is my second chance at the Board of Aldermen. When I was here previously, earlier in the 90s, I want you to look at, and I would like to speak to you afterwards. So when Congressman Gephardt was a congressman, he then passed a federal law, which we would really like to look at, which prevents people from getting comparable rents. So they made it so whatever rent you're getting in, say, the third ward, you cannot get any more. Now, you may have a penthouse apartment that really should get rent $2,000, but you can't do it because they said you could only get the rent in your area. And so it really discourages people, if you're already in a low to moderate income, it discourages people from putting the proper amount of money in to fix property up, especially if you're not getting any kind of subsidy or anything from anybody.
Right.
And I always thought it was a very bad bill. I was opposed to it when he did it back in the 90s, and I think it really hurts low to moderate income areas. I've been in Hyde Park now for 30 years rehabbing, and it's seeing a resurgence and coming back. But our rents are so suppressed, and so when people come from someplace else and they come and they're like, you get all of this for this amount? That's one of the problems that sometimes when legislators pass things, they don't know the actual how it actually affects people. So it actually hurts rehabbing, because if you need a lot more money a lot of times for these buildings. We took vacant buildings and rehabbed them. And even before I got onto the board in the 90s, we actually got some CDA money and did some. It was House of the Month. But our rents are still so artificially suppressed that whenever we get somebody from a different part of town, they come there, they cannot believe the difference in what they get. And now we've mainstreamed to mostly market rates. We're back past the 15 years, but we still try to keep it half and half because that's what we started out. But this is really a good step, and I want to applaud you and thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Arnowitz?
No questions.
All right. Well, I have to just ditto Alderwoman Tyus. We have probably lost the opportunity to really improve some parts of our city because of this. And so I really do appreciate the work that's been done. I don't see anybody from the Housing Authority here, but we have, this is a good first step in making some things level. I was just looking at the fair market rent rates here for apartment types for the St. Louis area, and this is just not as balanced as it really is.
Right.
Because I know one bedrooms are renting in my ward for $1,100. So this is interesting. But what I wanted to also say to you is, once we do this, I hope you have an opportunity, and those who also have resources to help you, that we really get this information out to the public. It does us no good to pass these bills if people don't know about it. Because as being a former president of the Housing Authority, I found a lot of cases where the landlords were charging the tenants under the table to take care of these things. And if they don't know that they don't have to do this anymore, it really won't help them at all. So again, I appreciate this, and thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
All right. Director Bryson, Charles Bryson, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, members of the HUD's committee. We too, CREA, stands in favor of this piece of legislation. We want to thank Ms. Ingrassia for her work and efforts. We see this also in the same light, that number one, this double inspection impacts lower-income folks by making sure that they can't afford to have another inspection. And we think that that's wrong. Number two, we also believe that this piece of legislation will allow people to move in less impacted areas throughout the city. Molly talked a little bit about the AI, the analysis of impediments that was done by CDA and their consultants. And one of the things that HUD is really requesting is fine methodology to allow people to live throughout the entire city, not just in some areas. And we think that you mentioned a housing authority. CREA has set up a program where we have met with some of the tenants and some of the landlords as they do their mass application processes. And one of the things that we found is, as you did mention, that a lot of the tenants or the proposed tenants didn't know and understand their fair housing rules. So we went through them. We also then talked to the landlords about some of the do's and don'ts as a landlord and worked with them. This will allow the housing authority to more aggressively go to certain areas and seek those who may have wanted to be part of the Section 8 program, but didn't want to go through a double inspection because it would cost them money. So for a lot of good reasons, we think this is an excellent piece of legislation. It is a great start, and CREA wholeheartedly supports it, and will answer any questions that you have.
Very good. President Reed?
No question.
Alderman Arnowitz?
No question.
Alderwoman Tyus? Okay, none. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Molly, do you have this report electronically that you can email to us? Yes. All right, this is a great report, by the way. Thank you for doing it.
Commissioner Oswald?
Good morning, Madam Chairman and committee members. I just wanted to offer my support for this bill as well. I wanted everyone to know and understand that the way the process really works is that if somebody chooses to put a unit in the Section 8 program, the first time they're required to have a full occupancy inspection, which requires that an electrical, plumbing, mechanical inspector, as well as the building inspector, comes out. We then issue the certificate of inspection off that as well. So, so we don't really double charge them, but actually it will correct a wrongdoing, because what we're essentially doing on the Section 8 first time inspections is basically more like a commercial inspection, where the rest of the city, anybody else's unit, we're doing really just a single residential inspection. It will not hurt the city in any way financially, because we'll still get the same amount. You'll still have to have the housing conservation inspection. And, we do work with the Housing Authority on this, and to the best of my knowledge, they're in favor of this as well.
All right, that's good to hear. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. President, would you like to ask any questions? No. Okay. Alderman Arnowitz?
No question.
Alderwoman Tyus? No? I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for chatting.
That ends the speakers for this bill. I'd like to ask Alderwoman Ingrassia to come back, and after hearing the testimony and understanding the bill better, do we have any questions of the Alderwoman, Mr. President? No. Alderman Arnowitz?
No, ma'am.
Alderwoman Tyus? Okay, I have none. You can
Okay.
close.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Members of the committee, I just ask for your favorable passage of Board Bill 235 this morning.
All right. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion for.
Moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded, Board Bill number 235. We will call the roll, please.
Alderman Kennedy, Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman French, Alderman Arnowitz,
Aye.
Alderman Carter, Alderwoman Tyus,
Present.
Chairman Rhodey, President Reed. 3 aye votes, 1 present.
Okay, that's really exciting. That feels good to have a bill pass out like that. Thank you very much. So 235 has been passed. Now we'll go to Board Bill 260.
All right, Madam Chair, thank you. This is Board Bill 260. It's kind of a complementary bill to Board Bill 235. It clarifies the city's regulations regarding source of income discrimination by landlords. The bill defines source of income as a prohibited means of discrimination when advertising for, screening, and selecting rental tenants. And this was also a recommended change in Professor Metzger's report, as well as the St. Louis analysis of impediments to fair housing.
Okay, I thank you. Did we have any speakers? Okay, we'll have their speakers come forward now. Thank you. Molly Metzger.
So I guess I just wanted to add that I think the combination of Bills 235 and 260 is a good combination, that it's fair to renters and it's fair to landlords. This bill would really just clarify the existing language in St. Louis's fair housing law. So right now, if I'm a landlord and I post a Craigslist ad for an apartment and it says no Section 8, it's not clear right now whether or not that's legal or not. So this would be creating clarity in the law that landlords can't discriminate against people just because of their source of income, including Section 8. If I'm a Section 8 renter and I have, a history that would disqualify me from housing, it doesn't mean that a landlord has to take any Section 8 renter, but this would make it illegal to discriminate purely on the basis of Section 8. So I'm also in support of this bill, and thank you very much for considering it.
Okay, any questions? No? Alderwoman Tyus?
Okay, so, and I'm on board with this, but I just went to Washington School of Law, so my question is, I know you can't discriminate age, blah, blah. Can we enforce this? That's what I want to know. So I haven't done any research about it, so can you just tell me about your research? Can we really enforce that? Because what I'll do if I am a landlord, if I don't want to do Section 8, I don't have to put it out there.
Right,
You
that's
just
right.
don't get my apartments, okay?
Right. So I've talked with the Equal Housing and Opportunity Council about this, and I believe that CREA is on board with this bill as well. So yes, we believe that it is enforceable.
Based on federal law,
So this would be based on local law. So
based on the ordinance?
based on the ordinance, right? So federal fair housing law has a series of protected classes that don't include,
Right.
sexual orientation, gender identity, or source of income. In St. Louis, we've made the forward-thinking move to include those protected classes.
Okay. And so we do both, like in Section 8, you can use a county or city Section 8 in the city.
That's right.
Because they have transport. So this would be applied to the housing, not to the Section 8. So it wouldn't make any difference if it was city or if it was a county Section 8 voucher.
Right. So my understanding is that it would apply to housing within the city regardless of where the voucher originated.
I'm going to support it, but that'll be interesting if that would actually hold up. Okay.
Yeah, there are also, there are models across the country for including these sorts of protections, and I'd be happy to circulate that research as well. The Poverty and Race Research Action Council has a list of different places throughout the country that have these sorts of protections. Yeah, and so this new language was based on a model, actually, I think it was from Urbana, Illinois, or Chicago. So this is something that's...
I think the people who grew up there must be progressive. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Well, that gives me, I wanted to ask a question now, because the more I think about this, when Section 8 when the federal government instituted the Section 8 voucher, and you can tell me because you've done more recent research, and it's been a long time since I read all that stuff, I thought it said that it could not be discriminated as far as the voucher itself towards housing. It's a supplement.
As far as I know, there are no federal protections. So in most places, if there isn't local fair housing protection based on source of income, it is perfectly legal to say, I don't take Section 8 as a landlord.
Huh.
So as far as I know, there's no federal fair housing protection for Section 8 renters.
Okay. We really, on a national level, probably need to address that a little bit more. So I do appreciate this, though, for our local area. I thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. And Director Bryson?
Madam Chairwoman, again, thank you for the opportunity. I'll get right to the source of income. As far as Civil Rights Enforcement Agency, we do fair housing, equal employment opportunity, and public accommodation. And those are the things that we do investigations on. The point of source of income is any income, as it says on page 8 of 8, source of income at the point of origination of legal gains. So I wouldn't just think about it related to Section 8. If you make any income, the way we on a local level have said is that is a protected class. So on a local level, it is no different than age, sex, national origin, etc. So we've said a landlord cannot discriminate against someone because of their source of income. What it allows CREA to do by defining this, and this is not only in 67119, but is also in 68715, which I believe was passed 2 years ago, which just had the delineation source of income, but didn't have necessarily the definition. This allows CREA to go out and do investigations about source of income to see if the only reason a person did not get an apartment, a car, or whatever they could afford was the only reason their source of income. So you have two similarly situated individuals, the only difference being source of income. Both are able to pay for or buy or rent or use that service. The only reason that one was denied and the other wasn't, that we can find from CREA's standpoint, would be source of income. So this tightens up that, and I will tell you, having gone to national conferences, when people pull up 67119 and 68715, they, on the advocacy standpoint, they really like the fact that the city of St. Louis has source of income. The issue has always been the definition so that we could do investigations. So this allows us to do investigations because we now know there's a standard that we can look for and say, if as long as I have legal gain of income accrued to a person in a stated period of time, I am buying a service, I am buying a good, I am buying a product, I can do that without the fear, quote unquote, of discrimination based on my source of income. So the Civil Rights Enforcement Agency certainly applauds the efforts again of Alderwoman Ingrassia. We stand behind this. We think it's a wonderful piece. It gives us definition. It gives us an ability to go after individuals who may be discriminating solely on the, they might be discriminating a lot of other ways, but they may also be discriminating on source of income.
Very good. Mr. President, any questions?
No, but Madam Chair, could you?
Sure. I'm glad you said that because I'd like to be a co-sponsor as well. Thank you. Alderman Arden. Alderwoman Tyus.
How would you investigate that? Because as a landlord, if I'm doing this, I'm gonna find 10 other ways for not to rent to you, okay? So I'm not gonna say I'm not renting to you because you're Section 8. Well, if I'm a smart landlord, okay? Okay, how do you investigate something like that?
There's really two ways. One is, I'll talk about CREA itself. So we would go and we would get all of your files and we would look at who got denied and who received an apartment or whatever the issue was, and see what were the differences between the two. No different really than race, than gender, et cetera, or my favorite is actually color on a national level, so you can't discriminate on the basis of color. So you have, they did what happened in Texas was there were dark-colored Hispanics and light-colored Hispanics, and you literally had to go in a courtyard to notice that there was a difference.
Brown paper bag test.
Right. So that would be one way, is we would go through your files and find out why did people get denied. The second way is, because of EHOC, we could do testing. And so we would have send testers out or have them call and say, I'm looking for an apartment, and at some point you get to that question, what's your source of income? Well, I have section, no. I can't. So if you go through all of that, then that would be a means for also doing an investigation. So either way.
Okay, but, so, I'm just saying, so you would have to then be able to delineate that that was the only reason, because I can give it as an example. Well, I don't like to deal with Section 8, but I still do, just because I started out doing it, is because they're hard to deal with, not city, county. I talk to Susan Rollins all the time. I could, you know, she knows. I talk to both of them all the time, okay? They tend to lower the value of what you're getting, so this is what I have to do. I get rid of the Section 8, bring my market rates, bring my rents up, then they have to come, okay? So it's real easy not to do Section 8 by just saying money. But I refuse to not do it, so I just bring a market rate person in here and say, see what I'm getting? But that's real hard. A lot of people just don't want to deal with all of that. You got all this paperwork to do every time, so it doesn't have to be necessarily just the income. They're hard to deal with sometimes, so. And that's a valid.
Well, but a lot of us are hard to deal with sometimes.
Yeah,
but I think the issue is this going to be difficult? Yes, but it's another quiver in our box that we might be able to say, and more importantly, I think, Alderwoman, both Alderwomen, it gives the housing authority the ability to then go look for landlords and say, look, you know, source of income is a valid and appreciated thing by the city of St. Louis, and we want to try and find those landlords that value Section 8 and are willing to participate in the process. What we won't do is we will not allow discrimination on the basis of your source of income.
No further questions, thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Alderwoman Ingrassia, I'd like to close. Before you close, are there any questions of the Alderwoman? None?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, I'd ask for your favorable consideration of Board Bill 260 this morning.
Okay, I can accept a motion for Board Bill 260.
Second.
Is there a request for previous roll?
Objection.
Objection? Please call the roll.
Alderman Kennedy, Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman French, Alderman Arnowitz.
Aye.
Alderman Carter, Alderwoman Tyus,
Aye.
Chairman Rhodey, President Reed. 4 aye votes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have before us Board Bill 269.
Hello again, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. I'm here on Board Bill 269. If it's okay with you, I can kind of discuss 260, 270, and 271 together.
You can discuss. Go ahead.
Thank you. So this is a project I'm very excited about. It's the second phase of the rehab of Union Station. Phase 1 was completed at a cost of about $50 million, which included a rehab and renovation of hotel rooms in the Grand Hall and a conversion of the Midway into an exhibit hall to attract more conferences, events, and conventions. This phase proposes redevelopment of Union Station into an amusement destination, which elements such as a Ferris wheel, unique, exciting rides, shows, and other attractions. One of the projects does include the train depot shed, which is estimated to cost at least $14.6 million. I've been really happy to work with the developer as a partner. They have gone above and beyond with respect to public infrastructure improvements surrounding Union Station in the past, and they continue to partner with the city in this phase as well. Also, they are doing really good work with respect to MBE and WBE participation. This will be the first project that actually is following the city's workforce bill that was passed a few years ago out of the Board of Aldermen, where there's going to be a monitoring element to ensure that we do have boots on the ground. And I guess lastly, I just say that we are estimating about 350 new permanent jobs to come to the city of St. Louis. And I have the developer and their attorney here to testify, or I can take questions now.
I'll go with our speakers first, Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So we're going to concentrate on Board Bill 269, but we do know that these are companions, Board Bill 270 and 271. So it can be fluid in asking any questions. The first person I'd like to call up is it Craig Cobbler?
I'm used to that. It's Kobler, but
Okay,
it's
Cobbler.
Cobbler all my life. So.
All righty. And you know, I know better, because I would need two Bs for it to be Cobbler. There you go. Could you tell us who you are with?
I'm Craig Kobler, and I'm with a company called Lodging Hospitality Management. And we are affiliated with the ownership of Union Station, which is called USH LLC. And it's one of our 4 city developments. We have Union Station, Hilton at the Ballpark, Holiday Inn at Hampton in 44, and most recently the Cheshire Restaurant.
Oh,
So all 4 of those are ours. But I have a handout, if I may.
okay.
Thank you. And I've abbreviated the handout to hard copy that I had presented to the TIF Commission, showing some pictures of what we've accomplished to date at Union Station, which is the Grand Hall, which we're very proud of. And also some pictures of the site for Union Station, which encompasses the southern arm, if I call it that, the fudge factory arm. What we plan to do in that 120,000 square feet of the station, plus the outside. In the last couple of pages, you'll see rendering and a photograph of the Ferris wheel that we plan to install in the far southern end of the station. I do. After you had a chance to go through those photos and renderings, I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
If you don't mind, could you just kind of give us a summary again on where you've been the last couple of years with the development, telling us what has been done, if you have memory of the dollar amounts that have already been invested?
To date?
Yes, sir.
For Phase 1, I'll refer to that.
Okay.
It's $50 million in total, and that would include refurbishment of the 538 guest rooms at Union Station. That includes the complete change of use of the Midway, which used to be where Deardorff and Hart's was at one point in time. When we bought the facility in 2012, it was all abandoned storefronts. We took those out and converted that into a state-of-the-art exhibit hall of about 50,000 square feet. We coupled that 50,000 square feet with the 48,000 square feet of meeting space on that level, and we have plus or minus 100,000 square feet of meeting space connected to 538 guest room hotel. Nobody in the Midwest has that opportunity for groups. Women in Business just had their exhibit there just this past week, and they do every year, now that we have the Midway as an exhibit hall, and it was filled. It was a great event. We've also did the Grand Hall. We renovated the Grand Hall, and we added an element called digital mapping. It's news to me, but it takes images in small vignettes of a minute to a minute and a half, and it displays it on, there's a picture of one in there of the aquarium scene in the Grand Hall, ceiling and walls. That was $1.6 million for that alone. But what we're finding, and that's 5 o'clock in the evening, every hour in the hour, that's up for about 5 to 6 minutes. We're finding people coming to Union Station, bus tours and the like, just to experience that digital mapping display at night.
Very interesting.
So all of Phase 1 is behind us, and we challenged our brain a lot for Phase 2 for the southern end of the station, and we believe that an entertainment complex, I'll use that term, would be successful. We just did most recently, you may remember, the Polar Express at Union Station. Phenomenal success. 30,000 plus people attended that. It was sold out in 48 hours. So that told us that it's a real family venue, good family destination. So the entertainment, if you will, a miniature Six Flags is what we have envisioned for the southern arm of Union Station.
Okay, thank you very much. President Reed, do you have any questions? No questions. Alderman Arnowitz?
Just one thing. So when Union Station opened up a few years back, which we know which was more, and the more times I went in there for lunch and everything, I noticed a lot of the places closing up inside. And I think there, you know, when you have a place like Union Station, which is for the public, I think there, for some reason, there was an outcry not to let the younger generation come in there and hang out. They were kind of barred. You had the dress codes they were trying to enforce and everything, which, you know, people feel like they're being discriminated against when you do that. South County Mall, West County Mall, if you want to be a person, wears your pants a little lower, this and that. I mean, in public places, I think you really can't discriminate and encourage people not to come in. And I like the ideas of adding, trying to bring more things to Union Station. But my worry is, is the policy going to be to try to discriminate and discourage younger people from coming in? Even if they're coming in to look and hang out for a minute just to look around because they don't have money and just want to enjoy being in there. I think that's some things that just seriously really need to be looked at, because I just personally feel like, you know, unless they're in there causing havoc, you know, you should be able to walk around, you know, and I'm 61 years old, and people my age stereotype when they see younger kids. I can relate to younger kids myself. I run around in basketball shorts and Nikes in the summer. That's just me. But what I don't want to do is the younger kids who've been running out of there, have been run out of there before, I don't want them to feel like they can't come in and look around without maybe being harassed, followed by security and things like that. That's just kind of my personal point. And I hope this is great, because I like to see all the shops opened up at Union Station. So it would be still a big asset to downtown. So that's all I really had to say.
No, we understand that, and we're empathetic to that concern. We're not professional theme park operators. We've brought in a company called LARC, L-A-R-C, who are professional theme park operators, and they've done the design that you see in that booklet in front of you. And their methodology to make sure that the improvement is profitable, it's simple. You walk to the front door and you pay a fee, $10, $5, and we have not set that price. And that will give you a card or a bracelet. Mm-hmm. And then as you go through the park, or you go through the amusement, you use up that credit, whether it be for the Dodgem cars, the talking tree, whatever it may be, until it's zero. Then you can stay or you can leave. And if you want to continue to experience the improvements, you can incrementally add more to that card. The same theory is used a lot at water parks these days, because you can't carry a billfold, so you use this magnetic card, and it works.
I like that.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Tyus?
I want to echo, the Alderman and I were just talking about this. I was here for the first one. And as a little girl, rode the train to Texas with my grandmother many times out of Union Station, because one of my relatives was in the service in San Antonio. Also picketed Union Station when they put Nellie's sister out of Union Station because she was wearing a scarf, and the information was you couldn't wear scarves in Union Station. So I went in my suit, tied my little scarf right up under my head, walked all around Union Station all day, took pictures. Not one person said anything to a 40-year-old black woman with her blue suit on and her scarf. So it was not the scarf, was my point. Actually made a national magazine. Dick Gregory, Alderman Bosley, and myself, we picketed. And think that they had some problems with public accommodation because they were discriminating. And that's all it was, okay? And as a 58-year-old black woman now, I don't like saggy pants. I don't like them in any kind of way, but I know that people have a right to wear their clothes the way they want to. And when I was a young person, I wore things that my mother didn't like. So that's part of being young. If they looked just like us, it wouldn't be young. And my mother did things that her mother didn't like. So the city of St. Louis has a big problem. We don't build things for young people. So when they have something, they tend to, what I want to say, almost overuse it because there's no place for them to go. And I've been arguing for a long time that we need to do more things for young people. We build these stadiums and we don't, everything else, but, so I really like your plan. It seems like a family plan. So my question is this all of, this is only a part of the Union Station that this amusement area would be? Is this, and another part would be business, or is it gonna be, when you say buy a car to come in, would it be for the entire area? How does that work?
Yes, there's 120,000 square feet today undercover.
Right.
Not the whole train shed roof, because part of that is outside parking. But between the two levels where the Fudge Factory is at, Houlihan's was once there, Casa Gallardo, Hooters.
So all of that part would be.
All of that part's 120,000. That'll have indoor rides.
And then you have Ferris wheel outside, right outside?
Then you go outside, and if you go to the west side of the south side, not to confuse you with directions, but that's where a small roller coaster will be, and a train, exactly the same train that's at our zoo today, produced by Chance Ride, the same company, that'll go around the outside of the station. And then on the very far side, almost to Highway 40, will be the Ferris wheel, which is 200 feet tall. It'll be an air-conditioned, heated gondola Ferris wheel. There's several of those. I think there are 5 today in the country. We just went down to Gatlinburg, Tennessee to see theirs. We were impressed. It's an impressive ride. So that card that I referred to, once you purchase it, you can use it for any of the things that I just described. And by the way, when I first wore bell-bottoms back in the 60s, I shocked my parents. So.
Yeah, I wore bell-bottoms, hot pants, all the things my mother just,
Yeah.
my mother said I would never amount to anything. I put 3 holes in my ears, so when I graduated from law school, I gave her my degree and said, well, I just think I probably just... Okay, I did amount to something here, okay. And so it didn't have anything to do with what I
Right.
wore, but, okay, as parents.
Some of the tenants that are there today will stay, such as the famous Fudge Factory. Which one?
Landry's gonna stay, or are they?
Yes, Landry's and a Hard Rock, those tenants are still good.
Okay, what about the movie theater? Is there?
There's a movie theater in the back, the far south, we don't own that.
Okay.
Jim Rifle out of Dallas, Texas owns that in the powerhouse building next to it. We have
Okay.
nothing to do with that.
And some people used to bring trains, some private cars in that they would have, is that still gonna go on? Is that gonna,
We're doing that today. We just did the Polar Express. We're looking at doing Thomas the Tank this late fall.
loved that when he was growing up. Well, actually, my friend I grew up, my childhood friend is Barney, so.
There you go. But the trains today do run out for private excursions. People can rent 1 to 6 cars to go around on the terminal railroad system here.
Okay.
And if they do want to go as far out to Chicago, LA, wherever, we can arrange for that as well. But the train station is private, it's ours, and we are utilizing it today. We just spent quite a bit of money restoring the tracks so they're usable.
So back to this whole thing with the young people, because I do see, up on Natural Bridge, the young people cruise. They never could get the no cruising pass while I was here. They got a pass while I was gone. I never supported no cruising because I still say I'd rather they cruise, and that, there were some problems than some other things, okay? And I liked cruising when I was growing up. We used to
I do
cruise
too.
up that was how you were seen. So I just, and me and my husband might want to drive and cruise now. I don't like that people can tell me I can't drive up and down the street as many times as I want. But I do know the problems that were associated with it because people couldn't get in my neighborhoods and things like that. So I foresee that if you do this and people don't have any place to go, that it will be large crowds of young people. How do you anticipate dealing with that without being discriminatory? Because I'm with it. They're not acting right, get them out of there. But if they're not, what are your plans for that problem?
Once again, Alderwoman, I've never done that in my life as far as, we have a professional that does do that, and what we've done is we've mirrored City Museum. They do 750,000 people annually.
Right.
We project 1 million people annually. Our amusement guy, Lark, predicted 1.5 million, but we brought that down to 1 million. So our numbers are about the same as City Museum. There's no problem there.
I think City Museum attracts maybe a younger crowd and also more with their parents. I would see that if you got, and it just depends, in roller coasters, Ferris wheels and things like that, you may have a middle crowd, a tween crowd, or the people who get dropped off at the malls sometimes. And I've been at the malls, and they don't have to be troublemaking. I've been at the malls when all the teenagers are there. I leave now, because I don't, not because they're doing anything to me, I just leave, because that's too much for me. When they're all there twitting around, okay, so,
If you look at the assortment, I don't mean to stop you in your
Right.
comment. If you look at the assortment, I didn't put those in the handout, but if you look at the assortment of rides that LARC has selected for Union Station, it's to a low of a talking tree for preschool,
right.
to a
I
high
saw
of a
that.
rope climbing class,
Right.
not class, rope climbing section for young teens.
right.
So
Then I
all
saw
the
driving school,
There's a driving school in there as well. There's a
Right.
bumper cars in there. There's an ice cream shop. We plan to keep, hopefully, some of the food court tenants that are there today.
and then I see something that says now showing, so that was my question, will there be an additional movie theater, or was that just part of a
3D movie theater.
3D movie theater?
Excuse me, 4D movie theater. It's where you sight and sound and your seats actually move.
Oh, okay.
And we experienced that when we were in Gatlinburg as well.
And I love the Lego thing is in Kansas City, so that's come, do you have them as a tenant?
It's not a Lego land, it's a Lego store, which, yeah,
Legoland is, I can stay there myself.
I would agree with that.
Okay, I have.
We have spoken to Lego people, but they've never said no, but they've never said yes.
I have no further questions.
All right, thank you. I think I wanted to, I noticed that you signed up on all three of these, but I wanted to make sure that you had given us all the testimony that you wanted to give us now about the project versus you coming back as we move through the next two bills.
I've given you all of my testimony to date.
All right, I appreciate that. I just wanted to say to you that I think when I first saw the plans for Union Station, I guess it's what, 3 years ago now you all been there?
Bought it in 12, yes.
Yeah, okay. So it was hopeful that it would take place, but you have done it and you're continuing to move forward. So I really do appreciate this. You've made my heart happy with the Ferris wheel. I think that that's something that's important. It's just something about it, what it does, you know, for people when they see it. It's something that brings joy. And we need as many opportunities to bring that in this town as possible. I always thought we should have had one on the riverfront, but you've got it there, so that's great.
Yes, we should have.
From our location, Alderwoman, you'll be able to see the riverfront.
Yes, you will be. It's going to be a good scenery when you're riding on that. Yes, I appreciate it. So I thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Ingrassia. So I'd like for you to close on Board Bill 269, please.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, I would ask for your favorable consideration on this board bill.
Okay, I can accept a motion for Board Bill 269.
So moved. Oh, I'm sorry,
Move that we pass Board Bill 269 on committee with a due pass recommendation.
Second by Alderman Arnowitz?
Yes.
Okay. Could we have previous roll?
Objection, I vote present.
Okay. Okay, objection, let's please call the roll.
Alderman Kennedy, Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman French, Alderman Arnowitz,
aye.
Alderman Carter, Alderwoman Tyus, Chairman Rhodey, President Reed. 3 aye votes, 1 present.
Board Bill 269 has passed this committee. Board Bill 270, just give us a brief recap and we'll move forward.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Board Bill 270 is the redevelopment agreement.
That's about all we need. As we know, this is a companion bill. It authorizes the redevelopment plan. Are there any questions of the Alderwoman on Board Bill 270?
Hey, Donna.
No questions?
Thank you.
Okay. Board Bill 270?
And this, I may have missed it. Did Union Station have a TIF before this? Is this the first TIF or is this the second TIF?
This is the first TIF. There's a TDD
Okay.
and a SID.
Okay. No other questions? We'll accept a motion for Board Bill 270.
I move that we pass Board Bill out of committee with a D-pass recommendation.
Second.
Previous row.
Hearing no objection, Board Bill 270 passes.
Thank you.
Board Bill 271.
Board Bill 271 is a companion bill to 269 and 270 and is the TIF note.
Okay, we've heard everything about this project. Board Bill 271 authorizes the issuance of the TIF notes. Are there any questions? None? Okay. We'll accept a motion for Board Bill 271.
I move that we pass Board Bill 271 out of committee with a D-pass recommendation.
Second.
Second,
Previous row.
previous row. Thank you. Board Bill 271 passes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
We have one more bill before us, and I need to know if there's anybody here to speak on behalf of Board Bill number 242 for Alderman Conway. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and members of the committee. On behalf of the Alderman of the 8th Ward, Board Bill 242 is a rezoning at 2700 South Grand. It is a parcel that in our records, going back to the 60s, that has always been either retail or a grocery store site. It is dual zoned, both the B two-family dwelling district and the H commercial district. And so each time a business has wanted to go in there, they've had to go to the Board of Adjustment for a rezoning. So the applicant came to us and asked to have the property rezoned. We did have a letter of support from the Tower Grove East neighborhood and from the alderman when it went to the Planning Commission, and it received a favorable recommendation there. And so we have the board bill before the HUD's committee now, and we asked for a favorable recommendation.
Okay. Any questions, President Reed? Alderman Arnowitz?
No question.
Alderwoman Tyus?
This is the old National Snooks building, right?
Yes, I believe it was in
Right.
Nationals and then a Schnucks, and it's an
It's now
Alps
half of
and
a dollar store.
yeah, a dollar store and a grocery store in it.
Right, and then, so then they bumped back, because I used to live there, but then they bumped back into the neighborhood. So that all one building, or is that, what's behind there that we're rezoning? Is that part of the building?
It's
or is
so,
that parking
they
back there?
use it as parking lot and loading facilities, and probably, I don't know for a fact, but probably what happened was when they originally built the store, it was all on a parcel that was Zone G.
Exactly.
Then they bought some parcels
Bumped
behind
out
it that were
back in the
residentially.
80s. Right,
Yeah.
right.
So they're just kind of cleaning up the zoning map for us.
And they don't own this parcel that's directly to the north of it, right?
I don't believe
Is
so.
that- I think that's housing still. I don't have any further questions.
All right, thank you. Board Bill number 242, I'd like to accept a motion to pass it.
I move that we pass Board Bill 242 out of committee with a D-pass recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Do you want previous? Objection? Let's call the roll.
Alderman Kennedy, Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman French, Alderman Arnowitz,
Aye.
Alderman Carter, Alderwoman Tyus,
Aye.
Chairman Rhodey, President Reed. 4 aye votes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.